The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were established in 1976, making them the NFL's 27th franchise at the time. The Bucs have been in Tampa for 40 seasons and play at Raymond James Stadium. Their lone Super Bowl win came in 2002 against the Oakland Raiders in a 48-21 blowout. The original uniform for the Buccaneers was orange and red and commonly compared to creamsicle ice cream. The original logo featured a pirate holding a knife in his mouth and winking. Many sports writers have referred to this combination as one of the worst uniforms in sports history, often stating that there was nothing intimidating about it at all. In their first season, the 1976 Bucs finished fifth in the AFC West and missed the playoffs. They debuted their first overall pick and first Hall of Fame player, defensive end Leroy Selmon. As an expansion team, they were put at quite a disadvantage because of their lack of information on new players. However, it was their 1979 season when the Bucs began to gain traction in the NFL. It was in this season that the Buccaneers became the first expansion team to win a division title and play a playoff game as well as host a conference championship. Although they did not make it to the Super Bowl, the Bucs had achieved relevancy in the growing market. Tampa's football team was originally awarded to Tom McCloskey. However, after entering into a financial dispute with the NFL, the expansion team was given to Hugh Culverhouse, a tax attorney from Jacksonville. He owned the team until his death in 1994. Although Culverhouse did build a successful team, his later years did come with questionable decisions. After his death, it was revealed that the Buccaneers were on the verge of bankruptcy. 12 consecutive losing seasons had caused a once potent fan base to shrink drastically, decreasing revenue. The Buccaneers were sold by Hugh Culverhouse Jr. to Malcolm Glazer for the highest price ever of any sports franchise at the time, $192 million. The Glazer family also owns Manchester United and First Allied Corporation. Malcolm Glazer passed away in 2014. Glazer is known to have been the driving force in the Bucs' turnaround. He immediately ended the creamsicle uniforms as well as hired legendary coach Tony Dungy. Glazer also convinced Hillsborough County to provide funds for what is now Raymond James Stadium. Glazer was known to have a constant involvement in the franchise and was a common face at the training facilities. Under new head coach Tony Dungy, the Bucs were vastly improved. He is known for developing a timeless defensive scheme called Cover 2 because of the two safeties who patrol the backfield. It was so effective that it became known as the Tampa 2 defense. However, Dungy could never seem to make it past the first round of the playoffs. For this reason, he was fired. In 2002, the Bucs traded 4 draft picks and $8 million to the Raiders for head coach John Gruden. He immediately began to disassemble his predecessor's team and revamp the offense. Within the first offseason, nearly 50% of the offensive roster was replaced by Gruden. In 2002, the first year of Gruden's tenure as head coach, the Buccaneers had a championship. Upon his arrival, Gruden transformed the Bucs into an offensive juggernaut. The Bucs finished the season with a 12-4 record and led the league in passing yards. Gruden defeated his former team, the Oakland Raiders, in a 48-21 blowout. Gruden was fired in 2008 because he failed to recapture the dominance the Bucs enjoyed in his first year as head coach. He was replaced by Raheem Morris, who at the time was one of the youngest head coaches in the NFL. Morris drafted Josh Freeman with the 17th overall pick in the 2008 drafts, with hopes of him turning the organization around. Freeman failed to live up to the hype, and Morris paid for it with his job. Greg Schiano was hired as his replacement. Under him, the Bucs toiled for one season. They began the season with an 8-game losing streak and some of the worst football played by any team to date. The Bucs finished 4-12 and Schiano was fired minutes after the final game of the season. Lovie Smith was hired as his replacement. It was under Smith that the Bucs acquired Jameis Winston. He finished his lone season at 6-10. However, this was not an accurate representation of how far along Smith brought the Bucs. His tenure ended prematurely as the Bucs named offensive coordinator Dirk Koetter their new head coach. The Buccaneers' initial training facility was located near an international airport. It was nicknamed the Shed because of how tiny it was. After years of complaining, Coach Gruden convinced the owners to move it across Raymond James Stadium. The new facility is the largest in the NFL and features 3 training fields as well as a team dining room. The Bucs do not have many Hall of Famers. This is probably due to years of struggling and the owner's poor choices at general manager. Bucs Hall of Famers include the first overall pick of the franchise, Leroy Selmon, the legendary defensive tackle Warren Sapp, linebacker Derrick Brooks, and offensive guard Randall McDaniel. The Bucs play in the NFC South Division. They have strong rivalries with the Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, and New Orleans Saints. Tampa plays each of these teams twice a year in tightly contested physical matchups. The Bucs also had rivalries with the Green Bay Packers and St. Louis Rams when they were members of the AFC West. Last season, the Bucs were led by rookie quarterback Jameis Winston to a 6-10 record. However, this record does not do any justice to how well they played. The Bucs at times showed the potential to have one of the most suffocating defenses in the NFC, as well as a prolific offensive attack. The Bucs are one good draft away from returning to being an NFC powerhouse. The Buccaneers are littered with young stars. On offense, Jameis Winston, Mike Evans, and Doug Martin are the foundation for a group with an amazing big play ability. On defense, Quan Alexander, Gerald McCoy, and Levante David are the base for an athletic and hard-hitting defense. This year's draft will also bolster the defense with the acquisition of Vernon. The Bucs are a very visible part of the Tampa Bay community. They host NFL Play 60 camps that encourage children to play outside for at least 60 minutes a day. Individual players also host events to promote charities and raise awareness for diseases and domestic violence, as well as specific camps for high school football.